Felicity, can you please tell me what is necessary to do colonics?
It's necessary to do colonics because we need to detox the liver, we need to detox the bile duct, and when we do the colonics, we start to restore the health. So this is something that's been done for all the way through history, apparently with gourds in the old days, in Egyptian days, apparently they were doing it with gourds, imagine that. But now we have nice modern kits to do it with, and it's much more comfortable, obviously. So certainly important to do colonics and implants as well, because it's another way of taking your wheatgrass without having to drink it. Imagine that, how useful that would be. So yeah, I'm all for colonics and implants, and if you go to the big natural health institutes around the world, that is the first thing that they will put you on for people to detox.
Sheila is asking, what books can I read to prevent cancer?
Right, well, Ty Bollinger, that's the book that he has just brought out, which is an absolute bestseller. And
let's give our viewers a moment to get their pens and the paper ready, and they're ready. Okay, continue.
Cancer Step Outside the Box by Ty Bollinger. So he's Ty, he's not a Psy, but he's a Ty with a T, and Bollinger, like the champagne, but we're not going to be drinking the champagne on this program. So anyway, Ty Bollinger, you'll remember the name now. Another one by Francisco Contreras, who is my doctor who got me well, Dr. Francisco Contreras from Mexico. That's it. Philip Day, of course, Cancer, Why We're Still Dying to Know the Truth, another good title. Edward G. Griffin, World Without Cancer. Healing Cancer, Mike Adams. There's just masses. If you go on Amazon and put in the word cancer, you'll get lots and lots of books there from people who've actually got well. And of course, they're the experts because they've actually got well.
Because we always talk about education on our show,
yeah.
And how do we know, because there's so much information out there, if our viewers were to go on the internet, there is so much information, and they might be thinking, what do I believe, what do I not believe? And it's just getting people like yourself to recommend other books and other material and educational.
Well, what about my book, Si? You haven't mentioned my book.
What is your book about, Felicity?
It's called God's Healing Word, and it's a really, if I say it myself, I believe it's the Lord's book, really, because I did get well, and I stayed well, and I did exactly what I was told from my church, which was to get onto the Genesis diet, which of course has completely transformed my life and really got me well. So, and it's a lovely evangelical book as well, actually. So it's a great book to hand to somebody, and it tells you how to get well, and also explains why I believe what I do believe about the Bible. I absolutely know that the Bible is true. I absolutely know that Jesus Christ came to earth, suffered, was crucified and rose again, because that's why the church took off in such an amazing way. You know, after the crucifixion, it must have looked such a terrible scene for the disciples hiding in the upper room. And when Jesus comes back and appears to them and the Holy Spirit comes, they are filled with fire and they go out and they change the world. So we know that something certainly happened, and the power of the Holy Spirit is the strongest power that there is. And here we are sitting on Revelation TV, able to tell the truth. Thank God.
We talked about education, we talked about books, and we talked about your book. Let's say if people wanted to more information with your advice, can they log on to your website? What do you have on your website?
Absolutely. Well, I've got the story of how I got well. I've also got everything I do is backed up by the top doctors. It's always medical advice, and so I can just point people in the right direction to follow the Gerson therapy, perhaps, which I followed, and Dr. Max Gerson was getting people well in the 1920s, 30s, you know, and it's all been rather suppressed and hushed up because Big Pharma was making a lot of money and is making a lot of money out of selling the drugs, the chemotherapy, and from pushing radiation. For instance, let me talk about mammography. You know, we've all been told we should go and have mammography. In fact, it's known to actually cause cancer, women who have mammography all the time.
Just explain to our viewers out
there. Well, they
what
radiate the breast to see if there's a tumour in there. And if you radiate it enough, of course, you will get a tumour in there. Thermography is now the way to go. And I have so many girls around the world who are now doing thermography, which actually takes a picture, just a picture, and shows where heat is spreading. That's usually where the if a cancer tumor is creating a blood pathway to come to the tumor to feed the tumor, and so they pick it up well before mammography ever picks it up. And of course, there's no radiation whatsoever. So brighter people are going to the thermographers instead of going to have a mammography.
Alan has written in to ask, what are the latest treatments for cancer at the clinics in Mexico and Germany? Well,
that's really interesting because I've just come back from Mexico, and I know what's going on in Germany as well, which is a bit nearer. And what they're doing now is much more building the immune system. So we do oxygen treatments, thermography, infrared sauna, hypothermia, and then there's other things like Coley's immunotherapy, which Dr. Patrick Vickers is doing. If you go online at these various places, you will see that now they give very little chemo if they have to give chemo at all to shrink a tumor, and it's insulin potentiated, so that we know that sugar is attracted to the cancer cells. So what they do is put a little tiny bit of chemo in with sugar, which goes whack straight to the cancer cells and kills them, instead of bombarding the whole body with a great deal of toxin. So there's lots of new things going on, and PNC 27 is another thing that Patrick Vickers is using. And if you go on the Oasis of Hope website, you'll see what Dr. Contreras is using there, and I've actually been to that hospital. It's absolutely state-of-the-art, it's beautiful, and it's also a Christian cancer hospital. So if anyone can get to Mexico, I would say that's the first port of call.
Because it's, at the end of the day, when you're treating something like cancer, it's being in the right surroundings, and your mind is in the right state as well, isn't it?
Oh yes, I mean you feel completely surrounded with love and support from the minute you walk through the doors there. And you know, Dr. Contreras is there. He's also lecturing around the world as well, but basically he's very hands-on there, and his father started it before, so it's going on generation to generation, and they are a great team there, and mainly Mexican. But he was also trained in Austria. He's probably the top oncologist in the world. I would say that's Dr. Francisco Contreras.
Gordon has sent us an email to say, what is the safest water to drink to prevent cancer?
Well, lots of controversy about water, and we must have pure water. The great thing is to make sure that we're not getting the heavy metals and the toxins, the fluoride and the arsenic and all the bad things in the water that's very often in our water supply. You know, the public water supply is treated with various things. We also have the chemicals which may get into well water, as happened with my family. So we have to purify the water. I do believe in the distilled water because it's the only scientifically really pure water. You can then structure it after you've distilled it. You can structure it. Some people like the alkalized water because we should be really alkalizing the body, bringing it back to a pH of 7.365, and very often the water is contaminated with heavy metals. So it's really important because we should be drinking certainly about 2 litres a day. Obviously the bigger you are, slightly more water you should be drinking, but we all tend to be very dehydrated, which is why the pure juices are so lovely. You know, the watermelon juice, the green juice, the carrot juice, the apple juice, the beetroot juice, There's such a variety. You can, the cucumber juice I love, that's a nice green one as well.
Now we're talking about juices and we're talking about the fruits and the vegetables, and it's about, we can grow our own fruits and vegetables as well, can't we?
That's the best, because then you can control it. You know that it hasn't been sprayed, and it's a wonderful idea to grow your own, because it's fun growing your own vegetables anyway, and you get the children involved and make it a bit of a family affair, and it's so exciting to see, you know, these wonderful new things starting to sprout, the tomatoes, the potatoes, and whatever you're growing. It's all so exciting. So you feel really good eating your own produce.
I've got actually a very interesting clip coming up now. Let's take a look at this clip. This is how to grow hundreds of carrots in one pot. Let's take a look.
Gardeners around the world can hardly contain themselves. People are using all kinds of containers in all kinds of spaces to grow all kinds of vegetables. The world is experiencing an explosion of growth due to renewed interest in gardening at home, and for some very good reasons. More and more people want to eat healthy and save money, feeding a growing trend to grow food right at home. The problem is that the typical garden container produces very little food, and here's why: limited plant space. Gardeners must plant many containers if they want to grow a lot of food, which costs more money and takes up more space. Root-bound plants. Plant roots will circle and quickly fill every inch of a pot searching for nutrients, which severely inhibits plant growth and production. Frequent watering. Typical garden containers need a lot of water, sometimes several times a day in the heat of summer. The solution? Miracle pots. Imagine growing hundreds of tomatoes, peppers, and eggplant using only one container, or grow thousands of peas and beans right in your own backyard with just one pot. Miracle pots will transform any patio, deck, backyard, or rooftop into a bountiful showcase of vegetables that your whole family can enjoy year after year.
Hi there, welcome back. Miracle pots, Felicity.
Doesn't it look pretty? It looks wonderful, and they're really ideal, because I just have flats. I have a flat in Jersey, I've got a flat over here, and it's ideal on a terrace to put these wonderful pots, and you can get so many different plants in there, and it looks really pretty outside as well. It's better than flowers in a way, because you're going to eat them.
It's so convenient as well, because you think, I want to grow my own fruits or vegetables and I need an allotment, I need a garden, but you can literally do it in a balcony or terrace. And just like you said, you do it on your terrace. What do you have on your terrace?
Absolutely great. Well, I'm growing lots of herbs up there, and I can grow wheatgrass on the terrace as well. And of course, we've got lots of sun here. And so the more sun, the better the wheatgrass grows. Although you have to have it slightly shaded, it can't be too burnt up. But it's really luxuriant, and 11 inches of beautiful wheatgrass in 11 days. It's really fun to watch that grow.
And then what do you do once it's grown? You juice it, do you?
Well, then you harvest it. So you have a knife, you have a ceramic knife that cuts right the way through, because it all has to be harvested at the same time. Then you get those wonderful bags, the green bags that keep things fresh. You can keep that in the fridge for maybe a couple of weeks. Until you grow the next lot. So as soon as you harvest, you have to be growing the next lot. In fact, I've got 3 of these things. I keep a supply always going, and it's really wonderful. And then, of course, when you're traveling, you can have the powdered wheatgrass or the frozen wheatgrass, which you can just buy. And it doesn't taste as nice, but it's better. At least you're keeping it going, you're keeping going with the wheatgrass, because it makes such a huge difference to the energy levels. Going
back to juicing, obviously some of our viewers live a very busy life, and they might not have time to juice. What is the best recommendation or best advice that you can give them?
Well, the thing is to juice in the morning, and ideally you would juice every time you're going to drink the juice. But what you can do is juice, and as long as you cap it off in the mason jars, that have the screw top, so you don't allow any air to be in the top, because that makes it oxidize. And so you want to keep the juice as fresh as you possibly can. So if you're taking it to work, put it in one of those cool bags, and it will work. It'll still taste better than say, any of the fizzy drinks that you might be tempted to have if you're at a canteen or something, you know. And there's all these coloured things in cans, which of course have got plastic inside as well.
Yes.
You know, inside the can there's a plastic lining. And guess what that does to the body? So there we are, we're living in a perfect storm, but our ways, and happy are the ones who do it right.
Very good. Ellie's asking, is it really necessary to buy organic fruits and vegetables?
Well, you know, for years I thought maybe you could get away with the ordinary stuff, but the more I read and research about the stuff that's being sprayed, I really begin to understand that we really should be on organic if we possibly can, and have as much organic as you can. So even if you move towards 51% organic, think what a change that would be. And the thing is really to befriend the local farmers who are growing organically. You know, they need to be supported. And if it's a little bit more to have organic, well, I tell you, it's cheaper than having cancer, because that costs a lot of money.
And it's about just making a change in the viewer's life as well, someone who's watching us today. It's just about making that change and seeing how they feel as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you suddenly realise that you've got so much more energy, you feel so much better, your clothes start to feel you know, they fit better, you start to stand up straighter, you're feeling really good, and you suddenly realise your immune system is coming back up, you're breathing better, the whole digestive system is working better, your skin's looking better, and you're just not getting the colds that you used to have or the infections you used to have. So gradually the immune system builds up again when we get on the really good foods that God suggests.
Now we talk about the good foods that we should be eating. What about the toxic foods? What sorts of food should we be avoiding?
Well, we have to avoid, as I say, the meat and dairy, you know, the mad diet, meat and dairy, MAD. And it's absolutely true. We've been fed a lot of disinformation over the years, and we thought that we needed meat, we thought we needed animal protein, and we needed the sugars, the salts and the fats that have been multi-marketed to us on television, and everywhere we look there's advertisements for these things. I remember when I was young in London, you know, they were pushing milk, drink a pint of milk a day, and these, you know, all these ads, and it's very tempting to get sucked into that, but really I think since the internet's come out there's so much more information there, and people really can sort it out. And you know, it's a wake-up call when you're not well, even if you're just tired, it's a wake-up call that it's time to rethink the way you're living, and the body is literally saying, you know, stop doing this to me, I can't cope with the toxicity. So we have to really rethink our lives, take responsibility.
Oliver's asking, why do we have so much cancer in Ireland? It seems worse than England.
Yeah, Ireland is, it's a cattle country, of course. It's meat and dairy. And actually, I don't think you have to look much further than that. There's also Sellafield as well. You know, there are reasons. And of course, you're low on the vitamin D, Olive, because you're not getting the sunshine there. You know, this is the problem with so many of our northern European countries. We just don't get the right amount of sunshine, and people with darker skins need more sunshine. So really, the thing is to take vitamin D, like Philip Day does the vitamin D. I think that probably most of us are short of vitamin D. You have to have it tested. And then you know exactly where you are. You can get tested from the Birmingham City Hospital. They do a postal test, so you just prick your finger, send that sample off, and they will tell you exactly where you are on the vitamin D scale.
Now we've talked about the foods that we should avoid, the foods that we should eat, and exercise now. how important is exercise in our lives?
Vital. We've got to oxygenate. We really have. It's not just the lungs, it's every cell in our body has to be oxygenated. And when we're eating dead food, of course, there's no oxygen going in. We have to have the living foods, which have electricity as well, because, you know, we are energy beings. We need the water, the hydrogen, the electricity, as well as the nitrogen and all the foods that are right for our bodies. So it's really vital to take the right exercise. Even dancing. I've just put a wonderful YouTube on my Facebook about this guy dancing. I mean, it's such fun, and you only have to watch this for 2 minutes and you're up and you're dancing with him because it's so great.
That's it, because exercise doesn't have to be, oh, exercise is boring. I mean, some people don't like to walk or don't like to run. There are so many different options out there. I mean, let's take the band, that band that we always talk about in our program. How easy is that?
Well, they're wonderful. The resistant bands are great because you can just work out with the bands. You don't have to go to a gym or do anything. So dancing and the bands, really, you can do that anywhere, can't you? And it's really important, and it lifts the spirits as well. It's fun. Yeah.
Explain to our viewers who maybe aren't familiar with the resistance band. How does that work? Well,
it's the weight of your own body. It's really just exercising against your own body's strength. And, you know, you can get really, really fit doing that. It's amazing how it builds up the muscles. And of course, it's easy to do. You just have the bands and exercise with them. You don't need any equipment, and you can do it, you know, when you're getting dressed in the morning. I have them on my door going into my bathroom, so I can do some resistance bands. And I do them out on the terrace too, to amuse the neighbours.
Very good. You're so thoughtful, Felicity.
I know. You could even ping them at them, I suppose.
I mean, something like the resistance band, it literally covers all over your body. You can do exercise throughout the whole body, the legs, the arms.
Strengthen the back as well, yeah. They're really great.
I asked that question because Martin is asking how important is it to exercise to prevent and cure cancer?
Well, it is, because cancer can't live in an oxygenated environment. So as Philip Day says, you've got to train as though you're training for a marathon or a triathlon. You've got to really get yourself into a good physical training. And so for people who are not able to do that because they're a little bit older perhaps, then you just get walk in the fresh air, especially now, you know, the weather's better and people can get out and get some fresh air and sunshine, because all those things are important. Eating the right food, putting the whole thing together. You know, it's going back to the new start, the nutrition, the exercise, the water, the sunshine, the temperance, that's keeping off the really bad things, air and rest and relaxation and research, of course, and trust in God. The T is the trust in God. So when we get back to living the way God told us to live, it's amazing how the whole body detoxes, body, mind and spirit.
Let's just talk about the rest and the relaxation, because we all live a very stressful life. How much does our mental state can affect our body and our physical state and cause diseases such as cancer? Yeah,
well, that's really, really vital. We have to do that. One of the lovely things is a sauna. You know, if you can get in a sauna, and I've got one of those little portable saunas that you sit in and you just zip it up, and within 8 minutes you are profusely sweating, because that's such a good way to get the toxins out of the body. And also it's very relaxing, because 1 minute into that heat you just feel, because it's infrared, it's not an ordinary sauna, it's an infrared sauna, so it goes right into the body, it goes into the organs. So suddenly you feel this amazing relaxation, and it's really, really good for the body. And of course jacuzzis are good, you know, a spa, if people can get to a spa, and really chill out and relax.
Okay, Felicity, we've come towards the end of today's programme, so thank you once again for joining us. Thank you also to our viewers for joining us. It's been a very informative programme, so please remember that Revelation has a catch-up service on our website. It's on revelationtv.com. We're on YouTube. It's youtube.com/RTV Europe. We're on Twitter, twitter.com/revelationtv. So you need to exercise, you need to eat the right foods, and you need to have faith in God and have peace in your life. Thanks and God bless. Bye.